John Brennan here with MMA T Company. I have one of our newest athletes, Josh Quintero, joining us today. Josh, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, Josh, you're our first strictly Muay Thai athlete. I want to talk to you a little bit about Muay Thai. First, just how you got started into the sport.
So my uncle, he's actually the longest active Muay Thai fighter in North America, Rami Ibrahim. And I was like maybe 8 years old, and I was actually leaving, going to my house with my family, and we ended up driving past his gym. We walked in, said what's up, and he was like, "Oh, you should try it out." So I started out with Taekwondo, and like it was all right, but I was a kid, so I didn't really like it, and went to Muay Thai. Same thing. I like the first couple years, I hated it. Wasn't for me. And then maybe 13 or 14, I was like, you know what, like I want to go back. I want to take it more serious, and I ended up having my first fight when I was 15.
Awesome. And when you made the decision to go back, what was it, in you that made you want to go back and start fighting again?
I went to a fight with my mom and my cousin, and we ended up going to see one of my uncle's fights. He fought. His name was Boom. I don't know. He's like a Thai guy.
Hmm.
I don't know his actual name, but so we ended up watching him fight, and he like smoked this dude, and I was like, damn, like I want to get into that. I want to actually compete. And my cousin fighting for a long time too, so me and him hang out a lot, and I look up to him too.
Awesome. And Rami is, pretty well known throughout the country and, throughout the world for Muay Thai. What's it like training, at Rami's gym? Not even him being your uncle, just, being in that gym with that atmosphere every day.
Well, a lot of the guys in our gym, like we're like Rami Elite's pretty known, so like a lot of times they're like, damn, you're fighting somebody like you're from Rami, so you're obviously good. I remember being a freshman at Father Judge and telling somebody I go to the gym I go to, and they were like, "Damn, I heard about that place. Nobody from there ever loses." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess."
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I was at one of my old gyms, one of my teammates fought a guy from Rami's, and I can't remember who my teammate fought, but my teammate got TKO'd with leg kicks, and that was the first introduction that I had into your gym. And ever since then, I've known a lot about Rami's gym,
Yeah.
and learned to check leg kicks.
Yeah.
So you've had some pretty good success, in your young Muay Thai career. When you started taking it more seriously and started training more often, how often were you fighting at the beginning?
Well, actually, my first four fights were all in the same month. It was like I trained, I had a fight, I won that fight. A week later, won that fight. A week later, fought again, and my fourth fight, it was a national tournament, and that was the first time I lost. My second fight, I actually took it on like it was a week after my first fight, but I took it on 2 days' notice, and it was a boxing fight. And then I won my first three, and then I had my fourth one. But they were all within that same month. And then after that, just build it up like normal fights, 2 months, month and a half, stuff like that.
Sure. And a lot of people, in every sport, combat sport, they have trouble once they find an opponent, keeping that opponent, right? I've had guys pull out constantly. Do you find that a lot of people either pull out of fights because of one reason or another when you're getting ready to fight them? And then, what are your thoughts on, stepping in with somebody who would be a short notice opponent?
Well, I haven't really had that many pullouts. I've had a couple, maybe two or three. I had a fight where I was supposed to fight in Vegas, and the fight got canceled the day before we were supposed to get on the flight. I was like, that sucks. But what's it called? Yeah. So I haven't really like those pullouts. It's nothing crazy to me.
Sure. And you said you took that one fight on short notice, that boxing fight.
Yeah.
Are you pretty much always training, always in shape where you can kind of just step in on those short notice fights?
When I was fighting juniors, I had a good amount of what's it called, short notice fights. There was a time I didn't train for 6 months, and then I took a fight on a week notice when I was fighting 125, and I ended up taking the fight on a week notice and fighting at 140.
So you just kind of showed up. You didn't have to, cut weight or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't train for 6 months. I got my uncle texted me and was like, "Hey, you want to fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
And how'd that fight go?
I lost, but I lost a decision. I got dropped twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I got dropped in the first round and in the second round, but I kept fighting,
Yeah, for sure. It is what it is. And you fought, we talked previously, you fought kind of, all over the world already at this point. And you're, very young career, very early still in your Muay Thai career. What's the most memorable venue that you fought in?
It has to be the Garden. I fought at the Garden the day after I turned 18. And so I wasn't fighting juniors anymore. So the day I fought at the Garden, I fought somebody who was 32. And that guy, his previous fight before that was in Thailand. So I was like, damn. And it was the first time I fought without headgear, without shin guards. And I ran through that dude. His rib, like both sides of his ribs were all purple. And I actually opened my shin. Like I had to get stitches on my shin from how many times I kicked him.
No way. How long did that take to heal?
2 weeks. A week.
No, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It was like 4 stitches.
Okay. And then, now that you're, getting a little older, not fighting in those, those junior tournaments anymore, what are your aspirations moving forward, the next year, next 2 years? What kind of goals have you set for yourself?
Well, I want to get into MMA. Like, that's really been my goal. Like, I wrestled in high school all 4 years. My freshman year, I wrestled at Father Judge. And then the next 2 years, I wrestled at Northeast because I didn't wrestle my senior year. But, yeah, I want to get into MMA, and I want to turn pro pretty soon. I have 17 fights, so I want to get into the pros.
Gotcha. And getting into MMA, where do you plan on going for that grappling work and some of that crossover MMA work that is not strictly Thai?
Yeah. So actually, I trained at a couple places before. Like I trained at Jonathan Webb's gym. I did some work with Eddie at Team Taino. When I was a kid, I actually trained at Martinez BJJ for a little bit. But we used to have, like before, we had a couple MMA fighters come and do like little classes at our gym. We had Alex, or his name is Popo, Alex Bezerra. It's a Brazilian name. He did a couple classes with us. Eddie Suarez, he did some work with us before. But when it comes to me going now, whatever my coach says, if he wants me to go to some gym in New York, I'll go over there. Like, whatever he says.
Gotcha. Cool. And then, we talked briefly about, a couple different things that you're doing. One wanting to go into MMA. Now, when you go to fight MMA, are you going to stay around the same weight that you're at, fighting at now in Thai? And then have you looked into any promotions that you would want to fight in MMA? Because there's a bunch in the area.
Promotion-wise, is whatever I can get, whatever fights I can get, But my weight, yeah, I fight 132. So 132, I fought 140. So I'm guessing 135 would be where I'd stay at,
Sure. And then when you go pro, did you have any plans of going down at all, or is that still the weight that you want to stay at?
So I walk around like 160, 155. Mm-hmm. So I get kind of big, so I don't think 125 would.
No, that's a big 25er.
Yeah.
Cool. So how often, now that we're kind of quarantined, we're not really, in the gym doing things like that. I see your bag hanging in the back. How often are you just working out at home? What are you doing to try to stay in shape?
So this whole quarantine thing kind of messed up my sleep schedule. So I end up staying awake throughout the whole night. So I get bored, maybe around 4 or 5, I'll go run. But usually I run around 6 or 7 now that this whole thing's happened. So I wake up early, or if I'm awake, I just go run. Come back, go to sleep around maybe 10 or 12. I try to lift because on this, you can't really see because of the camera, but on this side is a little weight set. It's just a barbell and some weights. That's all we have right now. And then I try to hit the bag every once in a while and get some work there.
And these, the backgrounds that you're doing, do you just kind of say, I'm just going to go for 20 minutes? Are you doing any kind of intervals? Are you setting up round timer? How are you, kind of programming that?
So what I usually been doing is so I don't really do anything besides punches, kicks, knees, and elbows. So I'll do like 2 rounds just hands, 2 rounds with hands and knees, then add the next 2 rounds elbows, and then the last round add everything, And
Hmm.
then after that, I usually try a jump rope before, like warm my body up, and then yeah, hit the bag.
Got you. And, you just mentioned that you kind of add that progressively. I wanted to talk to you a little bit just about, combination work. Um, what's your go-to combo? You're gonna come out in a fight. You like to throw like a 1-1-2 leg kick, or what do you like to come out with?
So a lot of my fights, what happens is I really like the lead uppercut cross to the switch middle. So I actually do that a lot in my fights, and I kind of like dumb thing I do is when I say I hurt the guy or he's pressuring me too much, I kind of like my body freaks out, and then I end up just doing a spin kick and some type of spin. If it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, usually it never lands. I think I landed it maybe twice. But when my body gets like super hyped, that's what I do. Some type of spin.
Got you. Okay, cool. Um, anything else that you have for us today? Anything else you want to mention before I let you go?
No, I think we're all good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you a lot, Josh. I appreciate it. Good luck to you, in your venture into MMA. Stay safe, stay in shape, hitting that bag, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You too.
Awesome. Thank you.